The presenting sponsor of Upmarket is Aereo, the best place to grow and manage your real estate media business online at aereo.com. That's ARYEO.com. Coming to you from the makeshift Upmarket studio in the beautiful Ojai Valley of Southern California, this is Upmarket, a podcast about the business of real estate photography and media. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO. Oh, I'm a co-founder of Upmarket Media. My other co-founder, again, we're doing a late night recording session. And so that other co-founder, Mark Corcoran, I think he's got a big paddling race tomorrow. So he's probably just asleep in his little bed, resting his big, strong muscles to go paddling. Chelsea Froelich also, I don't know what she's doing, but she's not working right now. So I'm going to have to do this on my own. But, you know, that doesn't stop me from being excited because I'm excited about our partnership with iGUIDE. Right? Because iGUIDE, we've partnered with iGUIDE to bring you our Road to PMRE episodes this year. Because iGUIDE, they want to tell you about their tour to PMRE, which is an amazing giveaway that they are doing. Look, they're giving away 2 all expenses paid trips to PMRE in Las Vegas this year, which is November 13th through 15th at the Palms Casino and Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada. All you have to do to enter this amazing giveaway is you got to go to goiguide.com/PMRE and enter your email address, and then get over to Instagram and you're going to follow go_iGuide and you're going to follow Upmarket Pod. It's all right there on that landing page on the Go iGuide website. You get in there and you're going to be entered to win these 2 amazing trips. Plus, if you're in there before June 3rd, you're going to be able to enter the early bird drawing for a Planix Pro camera system and 3 months free of iGUIDE Instant. What a deal. This is amazing. And also, wait, there's more. Every single person that enters is going to be sent a $50 discount code when they buy their regular price PMRE tickets. This is an amazing thing. Get to goiguide.com/PMRE. Thinking about, now that we're talking about early birds and early bird drawings, well, we got some news here. Early bird tickets for PMRE are going on sale Thursday, May 30th at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. And here to talk about that and to talk about all things PMRE is the man himself. It's Mr. Brandon Cooper, who is the creative director, owner, whatever. You know, he is the man behind PMRE. Brandon, tell us, what are we doing here? Early birds. I just want to hit this really hard, really quick here, and then we're going to move on to talk about the conference because we've got a lot of stuff to announce today. We're going to announce a lot of the speakers, but hit us first. What is the deal with early birds?
Yeah, so early birds are going live May 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 p.m. Mountain Time. It's
3 p.m. Pacific.
3 p.m. Pacific. It's the best time to get your tickets because obviously there is a discount. And the one thing I would just say is just don't forget, we are adding that 3rd optional day this year. So make sure that if you're registering and you want to add that 3rd day, which you absolutely should, click that option before you proceed and finish your checkout.
All right. So I'm definitely, I'm already going. So who am I kidding? I'm not going to get in on the early birds, but I implore everyone to get on the early birds. And so Brandon, okay. So now this year, this is crazy. We're used to 2 days of PMRE and this year we have 3 days. So what I want to do is, and I know we're not announcing everyone who's going to be speaking, but I would like to kind of go down the list of who we have that we're ready to announce for the first 2 days. And then let's talk specifically a little more about day 3. So we already know, everyone who listens to this podcast already knows that the host is none other than Kelsey Curtis.
Yeah, Kelsey's going to be coming back this year to join us, and she's going to be hosting the first 2 days of the conference.
We get 2 hosts. We get a double host.
We do
this is amazing.
Yeah, we do get 2 hosts this year. So Kelsey's going to handle the first couple days, and then as we do make that shift into day 3, while it's going to be a lot of the same attendees, we are making a slight adjustment with sort of the approach to the content, and then our good friend Tony Colangelo is going to jump on and host day 3.
Oh, that's great. Okay. And so we have, let's go down some of these lists for the first 2 days. We have Matt Milkowski. How do we say his
Mikulski.
name? Matt, who of Aereo, who's going to get up there and do a state of the industry speech. He and Brannick did it last year. That's always a highlight. And then we have, let's see, Melissa and Gerard Lynch. I don't know about these guys. Can you tell me just a little nutshell?
Yeah, sure. So they were at the conference last year. Husband and wife team built an amazing business out of New York City. They primarily service Manhattan and the Hamptons, but they I mean, honestly,
fancy.
They might be as goat gets when it comes to the real estate photography industry. They've been around since, I don't even know, like 2008, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Built an incredible business. They've got sort of a network of photographers. They're always on the cutting edge. They're sort of the tip of the spear in a lot of ways. So yeah, they do sort of typically service that higher end market, but they know everybody. They are incredible people. They're really smart entrepreneurs and business folks, but they also have the photography background. So I just thought, you know what, who better to go on that stage and talk about where the industry was, where it is now, where it might be going, and just kind of give us some insight based on the 20 years of experience-ish that they have.
And I believe they're kind of coming at it from a business point of view rather than like a practical photography point of view, right? And so, and that's, of course, I'm excited about that because, as we know, I'm excited about the business of this industry. And then I know, well, he was just on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. We got Devin Pastorius is going to be approaching real estate media like from an advertiser perspective. So getting in the heads of I mean, Devin kind of talked about it on the podcast of, kind of storytelling in video and who we're making video for and why and all that kind of stuff. And then Danny Bertolo, right? So this is all going to be all about video with Danny, right?
The main focus is video. That's kind of his bread and butter, but he's also got, I've gotten to know Danny over the last year. We've had a lot of good conversations. He has a really interesting perspective on just the industry in general, how to connect with your clients and how to really make sure that you're actually building a relationship and making sure that you understand each other. So yeah, video, his kind of his wheelhouse. But he has a really, I will say this might be a little bit controversial. He's got a bit of a polarizing personality online, like some of our other speakers in the past. But
like me,
a little bit like you, I suppose. But like I said, over time, I've gotten to know him, and he really knows what he's talking about, and he's very passionate about teaching and helping others. And I just thought, we've talked for a couple of years now, and I thought this might be the right year to bring him over, and because he is coming in from Australia, and this would be a cool year for him to come over and kind of.
Well, no wonder he's spicy then.
Share some of his knowledge with the audience, so it should be a good one.
All right, cool. All right. And then this one, I'm like really actually pretty excited about this one. There's going to be a panel discussion about the future of our industry. And we kind of touched on it in this podcast last week. And I think it's going to be a lot to do about AI and a lot to do about, the changing technology and kind of where we fit in this landscape. And, I'm kind of excited about this, Brandon, because I'm going to be up on the stage. This is amazing. I'm going to be moderating this panel.
As long as you don't do anything crazy between now and then, yeah, you'll be the guy moderating. So, I mean, it is a little bit up in the air. Let's be honest.
I don't know. So it's 80-20 that I'm going to be moderating.
Well, that's generous, but I will say before we move on, that's a really exciting one for me. And a big part of that kind of came from last year, a lot of discussion around just the industry in general. There's a lot of what I've picked up on, kind of insecurity in this industry because there's so many unknowns and there's so much that's changing. And I look at it personally as a lot of opportunity because I kind of think about it. I'm like, listen, real estate media is not going anywhere. The way that it's dealt with, the way that we're creating media, the way that we're helping our clients, obviously that stuff's going to evolve and change over time. But real estate media is not going away. And what better way to sort of hash out that topic than to get some of the leaders in the industry, whether they're executives at some of the biggest companies or just people who are really involved in the industry and know what they're talking about, go on stage, talk about specific topics, and then open up the microphone to the audience so that they can ask the questions that are on the top of their mind, and then get a really nice balanced kind of answer and feedback from a panel of people who, I'm not going to release who is going to be on that panel quite yet, but I mean, it's it's a
I've heard some of the names bandied about, and I think it's and obviously it's just there's a lot of moving parts there, so it's not quite ready to not fully baked yet. But I think what excites me about this panel is like it is going to be people that we don't normally have access to, or at least some of them, and and we're going to get their unfiltered takes. And look, and I'm hoping that I can be a voice for the people up there, and kind of, and if we have some of these, look, I'm not going to let them off the hook. I won't just lob softball after softball at them. So that's my commitment to you, Brandon.
Well, and that's exactly why you're the one doing it, because we want somebody who can be level-headed and sort of even keel. But
wrong guy.
but at the end of the day, here's the thing: we want that conversation to be constructive. I'm not afraid for it. Yeah. It could go a couple different ways, right? There could realistically, technology interruptions, big box acquisitions, all these other things that affect our industry day to day. That's kind of why, that's what that panel is going to hopefully kind of talk about. I think you're a perfect guy to moderate it, because you have a good way of remaining objective regardless of the situation. And then the thing that's really cool, in my opinion, and this is what really pushed me to sort of reach out to some of these folks who, by the way, if they're going to end up on our stage, they're really kind of taking, I don't know how to put it.
A risk?
I wouldn't call it a risk, but they're putting themselves out there in a way, because some of them, there might be some contentious topics, and it's not just going to be a field day for them. And so the fact that they're going to go on our stage and are willing to discuss and then open up the conversation to the audience. To your point, what excites me is I just can't think of another scenario where you could have 4, 5, 6, 7 of these industry leaders on stage with direct access to our audience, where our audience can walk up to that microphone and ask the burning questions that they have, and then get, like I said, 4, 5, 6, 7 different perspectives. Right. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, well, me too. And then, also speaking, and I know we're kind of, he kind of teased it as he's going to be the last speaker on day 2 as kind of the bridge speaker. It's Matthew Anderson. He was on the podcast a little while back, and he's fantastic. And so he's coming at it from kind of melding that, the real estate side of the industry, kind of melding a little bit into the architecture side of the industry. And he's kind of bridged that gap in his own business. And I think he's a great person to kind of talk about that as we're rounding it out and kind of heading into day 3. So Brandon, what is the purpose of this optional, we'll say it again, the optional third day, but I imagine most people are going to want to exercise this option.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, we've always kind of sprinkled some design / architecture into the conference from day one. We know that there's a decent amount of people in our audience who are either dabbling in that side of the world or are considering moving over there full time. But at the end of the day, what I've noticed as this industry has evolved, if you go back to 2019, most of the people in our room were, an independent shooter, maybe a shooter with a couple team members. But now it's rare that you bump into somebody who's on their own. Most of the folks in the room are either shooting with a team, or they've got an agency or whatever, and they're potentially pursuing moving into not necessarily like architecture, but just looking at the skill sets that they already have, the gear that they already have, the experience that they already have, and on top of that, the relationships that they already have. Why aren't they dropping a card off at the hotel that they're walking by, or the jewelry store, whether it's hospitality or commercial or retail or whatever? We already have all these skill sets. We just wanted to give people the option without, I was very mindful to make sure, hey guys, we're not taking our eye off the ball here. We know that this conference was built on the foundation of real estate media, but we all have those skill sets and those contacts and equipment. If we want to add those additional revenue streams, let's give these folks something that they can come to. But we don't want to force it down their throat, no different than we don't want to force Vegas down people's throat, which is why we've always maintained a venue off strip, because not everybody loves Vegas, let's be honest. But that's the whole point here, is that the goal is to kind of say, hey, listen, if you want to add some new revenue streams, or if you're curious about moving into that more commercial corporate world, you're already there. We're already going through all the effort to put this thing together. we have some credibility, we have some relationships. Why wouldn't we just make that an opportunity for people? And like I said, we're not ramming it down their throat, and we're making it optional, and we're also making it at a price point where it's kind of like if you're already there, and even if commercial and corporate isn't your focus or even a future ambition for you at the moment, if you're even remotely curious about it, which you should be, because you're going to learn transferable skills that you can take back to your hardcore real estate business, you might as well check it out. So that's kind of how this thing evolved. We just want to make sure that we're...
And here's how I look at it too, in terms of like, I think pitching this day 3 or trying to make that decision as a real estate photographer, if you're going to stay for that. I mean, if it's not in your budget, it's not in your budget, but and we all understand that. But I think if you can just walk out of that with the confidence to be like, and I think what Matt said on the podcast was like, hey, if you're successful as a real estate photographer, even if you're not dropping cards off places, one day an architect, a builder, a hotel, someone is going to end up calling you. And to have the skill set, to have the confidence to know what to say to these people and to know what to charge these people, because, you know, you can charge a lot more for these types of shoots. So if you can walk out of day 3 with even that skill set in order to get one architecture job, it's going to pay for that whole day in Vegas. Yeah. So I think it's to me, it's, whatever it's, I don't want to say it's a no brainer, but I do want to say it's a no brainer.
I think it's a no brainer. And what Matt said was, that's one of the smartest things I've heard, is it's just when we were talking about bridging that gap, he said that to me and I'm like, yeah, well, that's exactly it. At some point, we always talk about that fork in the road between, you get to a point where you're either going to just kind of focus on the business or you're going to focus on being the artist. It's kind of another one of those fork in the roads where it's like, listen, you're going to get approached by somebody who's going to ask you questions that maybe you're not used to. This day 3 is geared to helping you make sure that even if you're not pursuing that, you're at least going to be in a position where you can give them a good answer or potentially take on that business and feel comfortable doing so. So.
Right. Well, and I do. Let's go down who is speaking at day 3, and let's start with the people who have already been announced. And we don't have to get too deep into these people, but look, come on, Brandon Barre, who is the world-renowned hospitality photographer, and we got Emma Peter, who, I mean, Emma's the now kind of famous for speaking at PMRE, and she was just on the podcast, and of course she's like amazing, awesome, and she did a workshop last year that I know was super, super well received. And then we got Chris Stacy, who is a cinematographer who he really started in the music industry and has kind of made a name for himself in the real estate media world by shooting a bunch of videos for realtor Tim Smith, who I believe there's rumors that Tim is going to actually be on stage as well with Chris Stacy.
Yeah, so Chris is an interesting one because, to your point, he kind of came up in the music industry, went into feature films. He's based out of Orange County now, where Tim Smith is kind of one of the go-to, if not the go-to realtor. Who, of course, let's be honest, he's got higher budget for some of these wild properties that they're shooting, but he enlisted Chris for some of his shoots, and they made some videos that went quite viral. But that's not really the reason that he's here. It's not because they're making viral video. It's because he's a master at lighting and working with talent, and just he's a true cinematographer. And so the approach that what caught my attention was the relationship between Chris and Tim. And so what we've proposed, and I do have to say, full disclosure, like if I'm not mistaken, I think Chris told you when he was on the podcast that him and Tim were totally in. I think that's going to be, all full disclosure, we have not released it, but we recorded an episode with Chris a week or two ago. And I believe I think we should make that our next PMRE podcast. So that's going to be out in 2 weeks, the Chris Stacy episode. And I got to say, and exactly what you were saying, and I kind of went into this having watched Chris Stacy's some of his videos and being like, and I've worked enough in the film industry to be like, oh man, this guy's going to be a dick. I just know it. I just know it. And you know what? We had such a good conversation, and he was like really just like self-effacing and funny and kind and like and full of information. And I think from what I could tell, just had a giving heart that he just wanted to actually help help mentor people. And so it was really I was pleasantly surprised by
by our conversation.
Well, I'm not surprised to hear that because, like I said, I've, dealing with him has been nothing but a pleasure. I don't know him personally. We've gotten to know each other a little bit over time here, just talking, but he certainly does have that sort of spirit of giving back. And if all of this, sorry for getting ahead of myself here. I didn't realize that episode. Yeah,
that's all right.
The whole, just so people know kind of the whole spirit of this, because some people are going to look at us and be like, oh, cool. I don't have, $50,000 budget for a real estate video. That's not the point. The point is the discussion between someone like a Chris and a Tim, when it's the creator and the client sitting down to say, okay, it's time to market a property. What are we going to do? They might be doing it at a level that's over and above what most of us are typically dealing with. But that relationship to sit down with your client, your realtor, whoever that might be, and say, hey, we've got this house. It's got some character, kind of like what Cody talked about last year. What are we going to do? Let's put our heads together. Let's not just say, hey, hey, Reed, I need you to make this awesome video, but it's got to look different than every other video in town. Go. How about, hey, let's sit down and kind of chat things out. So the goal for this one is just them hopefully sitting down and having a bit of a conversation about because they have a very long relationship. They get along great. They've got incredible creative synergy. And I want to see that I'd love to see that in real time and let people have an opportunity to ask them some questions.
Well, yeah. And look, I mean, I think that it is, we want to go to the fact that like we all have those relationships with our clients, and it's just Chris is doing it at a different budget. But I think all of the same exact stuff that he does is applicable to everything that we do. It's
totally scalable.
I mean, because it is all about the relationship, and it is all about the creative partnership. And so it doesn't matter if you spend $10 or $30,000. It's still the same exact thing.
Yep.
So then another name, and I was not familiar with this name, but we haven't recorded with her, but I did have a quick phone call with her to kind of prep for having her on the podcast. But it's Alexandra Abramian. And Abramian. See, I haven't talked to her enough to even know how to pronounce her damn name. But she was wonderful.
She's sweet.
So she's coming at it from the PR standpoint, right? So I don't think we've had a PR person on stage at PMRE before.
No, we haven't. And this is a really exciting one for me because she's a former editor for, top publications like Architectural Digest, Elle, a whole bunch of different things. She's been in the business for 100 years. Not 100 years. She's not that old.
Yes. Literally, yeah.
Trying to just, boost up the experience value here. But the thing that's really unique about her is she kind of specializes in helping people get publicity for themselves and or their clients without having to kind of go and hire like their own publicist. And so she's kind of a master at helping you fine tune. I hate the term like elevator pitch or whatever, but at the end of the day, she's really good at helping you fine tune your elevator pitch, I guess you could say, like your value proposition, whatever you want to call it.
I hate that term, but yeah, anyway.
Same kind of thing, right? But at the end of the day, one of the things that we talk about between whether you're a real estate photographer, an architectural photographer, interior design, whatever it looks like, if we can walk into the room with our agents, let's say for real estate, for example, and we already know we're creating awesome content for them. We're creating really good media. Imagine if we could show them, whether you're in a town of 10,000 people or in a a big center or internationally. Imagine if we could create their media for them, but then also become a trusted advisor where we show them how to get published, whether it's locally, internet or nationally, internationally, without spending a ton of money. How indispensable do we become? It's kind of almost like you're writing your own paycheck. And so it's just a no-brainer to me. It's something that's kind of been overlooked in the past. And it's one of those things that when you ask people, like, what do you want to see on stage? I don't think this is something that they would ever say that they want because they wouldn't really know how to ask for it. But I've seen her live before. Once she's on stage, and you see her in person, and the thing that's so beautiful about her presentation and the way that she approaches things, it's not just like inspirational. It's ridiculously tangible. You walk away with, 15 different things that you want to do to your business as soon as you get home. You don't walk away. You do walk away feeling cool and being like, oh, this is great. I'm excited. You actually walk away with a list of things that, oh my gosh, I got to do this tomorrow. Practical is what the word I was looking for. Very practical, tangible advice. There you go.
All right, there we go. Okay, so and really before we gotta take a break here in a sec here, but we got to do a social media sidebar. But let's quickly also go over here's how I want the rest of this episode to go. Let's go over also what the workshops are, because I know everyone is super excited to know what those are. Then we'll take a social media sidebar. We're going to come back, and then I want to talk more about the format of this year's conference, because it's going to be different than any previous year, and obviously with the change of venue and all that. So we can talk about that in the second half. But so let's start with our workshops, and come on, we're bringing back a classic. We got WTF, Wayne, Tony, and Fraser.
Yeah, by popular demand. I mean, the guys it just never fails. They sell out every workshop they ever do. The guys are amazing. They know what they're talking about. Over and above, they're fun to hang around with.
That's Wayne Capilli, Tony Colangelo, and Fraser Almeida, and they do the Capturing Luxury Photography 2-day photography workshop, right?
Yep. 2 days in Vegas. Fraser always lines up a nice home. And again, the guys they're fun to hang out with. They really care about the people. At the end of the day, the reason I love them so much is because their end goal is just what my end goal is, just making sure that we create a really compelling experience for the end user. They care about their attendees. They're just total professionals. So every year people just say, please, please, please keep bringing them back. So why wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And then Mr. Australia, Danny Bertolo, is going to be doing a workshop.
Yeah, he's going to be doing a real estate video workshop. It's kind of hard for me to even talk about because it's a little over my head the way he handles things. But he's got this whole approach. He's got the video, like the actual practical, how to do certain shots, how to process a property, how to think about it. But then also, again, the relationship part with him and the client, and why the video is important, and how he markets the video to them, and how he kind of extrapolates the value of what he's creating for them. It's not just about filming one video for one property. So he's got a pretty huge following too, in terms of people from around the world in North America who use sort of his system and stuff. And so it'd be fun to kind of get people in the room with him one-on-one. Most of them are used to seeing him on a computer screen. So should be a ton of fun and a lot of value.
Cool. And then Alex Abramian is going to be doing how to stand out in a rapidly changing media landscape. Yeah. So that's one that maybe I sent Chelsea to that one. I don't know.
That would be a good one for Chelsea. Actually, I'd love to go to it because that's a very interesting topic. It kind of piggybacks her talk, but the thing that's really interesting about that topic, when she and I've talked about it, is it's like, you talk about the media landscape today, and a lot of this insecurity in the industry that we've talked about over the past few years, part of why we're doing that one panel about where we fit in the future. She's ridiculously optimistic about where we stand and what we can do to provide value for our clients. And it's a full day workshop where she's, like I said, she's going to give you that practical knowledge. She's going to give you a bunch of tools. She's going to teach you exactly how to get you and your clients a ton of promotion without having to spend a ton of money. And there's nobody out there that I'm aware of anyhow who can do that better. And plus she's just a ton of fun to hang around with, and she's super smart. And that should be a real interesting one. Okay. And these next two, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. Chris, you're getting Chris Stacy to do a workshop? Is this right? Is this true? This is true, and we're pretty stoked about it. So the approach for this one is kind of like, we're kind of coining the title "Shooting Architecture Like a Filmmaker." So we're gonna land a cool property. Chris is going to talk about literally practical camera stuff. How to make your shots, talking about compression, and all the different nerdy camera stuff you want to talk about. He's going to introduce how to light certain things. They're also going to bring in some talent. So he's going to also talk about how to light, film, and interact with talent on site, whether you're doing it for real estate architecture or just general filming. He's going to kind of walk in as if he's like filming a movie, but it's a house, and then have a team there, have, attendees there kind of getting a fly on the wall, but then also some practical and hands-on application. So to me, that's one of those things. I don't think Chris has ever done anything like this before. So that should be pretty exciting. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, no. I think that's amazing because I've done enough videos with where you're having talent, where you hiring actors to come in and do it, and it's it's a whole different ball game, and especially if you're just used to shooting houses with nobody in it, or even just having the realtor on camera, it's a whole different thing. And what I talked about with Chris, it's like it's way better because the actors actually know how to be in front of the camera, and Yeah.
do what you tell them to do. It's really great.
Yeah. And one more point on that.
Unlike realtors. Yeah, please.
One more point on that is, and he and I've talked about this. It's kind of like when you know how to shoot them and how to light them, and you talk to them about how you're going to shoot them and how you're going to light them, and they see that you know what you're talking about, they get more excited about being part of it. So I think that's one of the things that's going to kind of come. It's not that they're going to be like the front and center of shooting a architectural project or a real estate project, but it's more like if you know what you're talking about, you can get those realtors who maybe are a little bit or a little uncomfortable getting on camera, but you kind of make them feel comfortable, like you're the expert kind of leading the show. I think there's a lot of benefit there as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Okay. And then again, come on, man. How did you do this? You actually, not only are you getting Brandon Barre to come and speak at PMRE, but he is going to come and do a workshop.
Yeah. That's one that we're really excited about. To my knowledge, and based on my conversations with Brandon, I don't think he's ever done a workshop. He's, obviously he's in it. Funny story. I swear to God, this is the truth. I Googled today just for fun. Best hospitality photographer in the world. And his website popped up first.
Me.
His website, you could do it yourself. You can do it right now if you want. His website popped up first, and I was like, well, either he is or his
the best SEO.
Yeah, his team is killing it, or both, right? And I'm kind of guessing it's both because the guy's on demand. You just look at his website, you see what he's shooting, you talk to the guy. He is the definition of professional. He he's cool, man. He's a cool guy to talk to. I imagine he's going to be a cool guy to hang out with.
I had a conversation with Brandon, and he was great. He just is like a very no nonsense and kind and just just a regular guy. Yeah. Really in the best way.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree. And the one more thing I would say about that one, I'm typically one to kind of do my best to underpromise and overdeliver. But one of the things that's so cool about the Palms is it's such a unique property, and there's some wild spaces there. And we've had some conversations over the last few days. And again, please, everybody who's listening, don't hold me to this, but it sounds like we're going to land one of the crazy, wild, badass suites at the Palms, which is where we're going to host the Brandon Barre Mastering Hospitality Photography workshop. So you can literally leave your hotel room, go up to some crazy ass penthouse and spend the day with Brandon shooting it and have lunch and hang out. And it should be a hell of a time. And if we can't close those or that suite the way that we want, which I'm pushing hard, we will without question find an incredible space. So that's going to be, I'm really excited about that one. Like he said, it was cool to land him for the conference, which was a big enough of a challenge, but to have him do a workshop is kind of next to none.
All right. Okay. I'm tired.
What?
So let's take a break.
So much time to go here, man.
Oh yeah. That's the crazy thing is we have a lot more to talk about. So let's take a little break, and then we will come back. We'll talk, because we're going to talk a little social media. We don't need to talk a lot, but I want to talk a little bit about PMRE's social media. And then we will, Brandon, he's already teased it. He's got an action item. I mean, this guy, he did all this. He organized this whole conference, and he still has an action item. So stick around.
ChatGPT, what is an action item?
Oh man, Aereo, you know it. We love it. We all love it. Aereo, and I'm recording these ads on early on a Saturday morning. And you know what we did? We had some rush deliveries. We don't normally deliver on Saturdays, but you know what we're doing today? We do an upcharge of $60 to deliver on Saturdays. And so we had a couple of those. And, Mark, as I mentioned earlier, is out paddling early. He has these paddling races he does, and they get started way early in the morning. So he was up, at 5 a.m. And our photos came in, and then he went through and he did the quality control pass because our VA doesn't work on the weekends. And then he just scheduled these to be delivered. like at 9 a.m. this morning, because you don't want to deliver at 5 a.m. because, man, that sets a bad precedent for your agents. Then they're going to be texting you at 5:20 the next Saturday. Hey, where are my photos? We don't want that. But with Aereo, it was so easy because you can schedule that the delivery of all the marketing assets that you're producing for your clients. That's just one of the million reasons why we love Aereo, why you should check it out. It's aereo.com, and they are really the all-in-one place to grow your business and make it more efficient and have a wonderful experience for your clients as they use the Aereo system. And if you use the code Upmarket, you're going to get 15 free bonus listings. Thank you, Aereo. I'm going to get Adam Housley on this show at some point. He's the CEO of Second Floor App, and I want to see, can Second Floor App handle, can we do, we're talking PMRE, can we do a floor plan of the Palms? Like, I'm going to challenge Adam to do a floor plan of the Palms, the whole casino floor. We're using Second Floor App. Well, that would be the most fun I've ever had in my life. Because of how much I love floor plans, and to do a space that large, my goodness, that would be super amazing. But you know what? Let's be honest. The real wonderful application for Second Floor App is just doing a home for your clients, because you can make a floor plan in minutes. You're just going to walk around that house holding out your little shiny new phone, and you're just going to scan that place and make some floor plans. I mean, it takes like 5 minutes. I've done it. It's so quick. And then the great thing about it is it is delivered instantly. I mean, with GLA square footage, and this thing is super accurate because it's using that LiDAR on the iPhone. I mean, there's so many reasons to love Second Floor App, and the big one, of course, is that you have that instant delivery, and you can deliver it to your clients. You can upsell to your clients to have that super fast delivery of their floor plan assets, and your clients love it. Everyone loves floor plans. You know my feelings on floor plans. And so you're going to go to secondfloorapp.com/upmarket. You can get a free month of service of Second Floor App. You can do a ton of floor plans. If you bring Second Floor App with you to the Palms when you're coming to PMRE, I believe you can. Maybe you can't do the casino floor, but you know what? You can make a floor plan of your hotel room. I think that would be a wonderful, exciting use of the Second Floor App. Secondfloorapp.com/upmarket for a free month of service, and that Second Floor all spelled out. Social media sidebar time, and come on, Upmarket Pod across all social media, and come on, rate, review, subscribe. Brandon, you've done all these things. You've rated, you've reviewed, you've subscribed to this podcast, and I appreciate that. I appreciate it about you. And then also you can find us at upmarket.media across all social media if you want to see all the real estate stuff that we're doing. And so Brandon, I feel like you don't do social media for anything but PMRE. Am I mistaken?
No, you're not mistaken.
I'm not mistaken.
No.
Okay.
I like to keep tabs on friends and family, but I'm not.
Yeah,
that's not my thing.
Well, and then I feel like up until I would say the last year, even PMRE has not been doing that much social media, but you've kind of upped the game a little bit at PMRE Conference on Instagram. And also you can search PMRE Conference on Facebook, and you will find them. You can like them. So that's great. So obviously I feel like you are really dialed in on the social media.
No, I thought I got a little confused there. I thought we were. I thought the action item was the social media part. So mine was going to be get someone else to do it for you. Okay. But to your point, yes, I will say from day one, PMRE was bootstrapped, kind of myself, only had so much bandwidth to sort of spread around, and social media not being my wheelhouse, we never really touched it. We never did a lick of advertising. Everything was kind of word of mouth. In the last couple of years, we finally hired a creative agency, Windsor Creative, and they basically quickly told me, oh my gosh, are you ever missing out on a ton of opportunity? You have all this cool content. You have all these awesome, you have the event, you have all this kind of stuff going on. So we worked with them, and they've really kind of taken the bull by the horns, and it's definitely paid off. So my I mean, I wouldn't call it an action item, but if we're talking social media sidebar, whether you like it or not, you have to be on social. And just if you can't do it yourself, or you don't want to do it yourself, or it's just not your thing, there's so many people out there that can do it for you, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune. I will say the amount of times, and I used to take offense to this in the last year or two, where people would say, they'd call me up and say, hey, I just found out about your event. I would have been there the last 4 or 5 years, but I never even heard of it. And this is someone in like Miami. And I'm like, how in the world? I kind of thought this was a small world. How the heck did they not know about us? And I got bummed, but then I got realizing that's actually kind of an encouraging thing, because it just shows that there's so much more potential out there. But yeah, if you don't want to do it or you can't do it, just find somebody to do it for you. Just do it.
And a lot of it is because if you're in the Facebook groups, if you're on Instagram, you see a lot of the same people posting, and you feel like and you go to PMRE, and there's always new people, but there's a lot of the regulars there. But it's so much bigger, because I felt like, man, if you exist in the PMRE sphere, or in the Facebook groups, I mean, you got to know about this podcast by now. We've been at it for a couple years, but man, it's like there's a lot of people who still have never heard of the podcast, which is great. And I mean, and I'm not trying to sound like, oh, everyone needs to know about it, but you're just like, oh, I thought they would have heard about it just from like being out there. But it's like the industry is way bigger than we think it is. And so I think only a fraction of real estate photographers even know about this podcast. Yeah.
And that's, in my opinion, again, I've kind of had that epiphany that's actually a very cool thing, very exciting, because we are a very legitimate industry. We've watched how things have changed over the last 5 years. And it just means that we got to do a lot more hard work to kind of get the word out there, because this thing that we're doing, whether it's the podcast or whether it's PMRE Conference, there's a lot more people that can benefit from it, and they just don't really know it exists yet. So we got to just make sure that we make that effort.
Exactly. Well, and it's exciting to feel like there's room for growth.
Absolutely.
Still, because I think, and I think we're going to talk about that. In fact, let's get to the second half of the show, because I know we're going to talk about why this conference moved to the Palms. And I think one of the reasons is having an eye towards growth, right? And kind of outgrowing the former space. So we're going to be right back after the short break with Brandon Cooper. Hey, let's talk about iGUIDE for a second, because, we have this wonderful partnership with them for these Road to PMRE episodes. And you know what? iGUIDE has so many benefits. You have the quick capture camera system, the Planix Pro, which did you get in on the early bird giveaway for that? Because you can win one of those if you go to iGUIDE.com/PMRE and enter to win that and the giveaways for the free trips to Las Vegas and PMRE. And so you got the quick capture camera system, the Planix Pro, and look, you pay per project. There's no subscription fees, unlike other, you've probably heard of them. There's other ones that charge subscription fees that can be quite expensive. iGUIDE is a system that can fit all your needs, including iGUIDE Instant, which is a 3D tour and interactive floor plan that is done in just minutes, and all for $7.99 US. And iGUIDE is easy to navigate, and their floor plans are super accurate. And one of the things that I love so much, and I've heard other people talk about quite a bit, since we've been doing this partnership with iGUIDE, is the people at iGUIDE. They are a pleasure to work with. I'm obviously been working with their marketing team, and they're great, but I've heard time and time again how great their customer service is, how great of a company they are, and the culture that they have, and their support of our industry. So we thank iGUIDE. So go to goiguide.com and check out everything that they're doing. And of course, their Instagram is go_iGuide. So check them out, iGUIDE. All right, we are back talking to Brandon Cooper, who is the, bon vivant of PMRE.
What the heck does that
mean? Anyway, but Brendan, before we talk about the new venue and everything, I do know there was a couple more things that are kind of about the programming that we didn't cover in the first half, and I just want to touch on those really quickly. Is that there is going to be a ladies' luncheon with Natalia Robert. I think she's done it for a few years in a row now, so I've never been because I'm not a lady, but There's raves about it every single year. And then there is going to be some lunch and learns, right?
There are going to be, we've always done lunch and learns in the last 2-3 years, and they're always well attended. I think some of them last year had about 80 people in them, which is like almost a third of the attendance. But the cool thing about adding day 3 this year is we open up the opportunity for another one. So I'm not going to announce the who's hosting them yet, but yeah, there's one Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And the cool thing this year is they're up on the 51st floor.
I think it is worth mentioning the big reveal, right? That you kind of really kept this, because you were working on this for like a couple years on kind of moving, changing the venue for PMRE. And I think you knew it was going to be Palms for a long time. And in fact, I remember talking to you like a year ago and you're like, I think I got a new place I got big news for 2024, but you wouldn't tell me what it was. And I got annoyed, but it was fine. But then you kept it under wraps for so long. But then at the very, very end of PMRE last year, there was the video, which is, I think, still viewable on the PMRE Conference website, or you can find it on social media. And what was that moment like for you when you were sitting in the showroom or standing on wherever you were, and being able to witness the reaction of the crowd to that announcement video? How did that feel?
Yeah, it was, to be honest, it was emotional. It was, we knew from day one when we signed the deal with South Point that it wasn't going to be home forever. And so I'd been looking for a new venue for 6 years and really just couldn't find one. And so the minute that we walked into this space at the Palms, it hit me. I'm like, holy smokes, we're doing this. And then they took us for a tour around the rest of the property, and we ended up on the patio at the top of Ghost Bar on one of the towers. And I was like, it just hit instantly. There was no thought involved. It was like, oh my God, this is the new venue. This is the new hotel. Here's how we're going to do the reveal video. It just made sense. And so I was very excited because I kind of felt, as much as South Point was amazing to us, and we couldn't have built the foundation that we did if it weren't for South Point, I felt fairly convicted that I didn't even think we could do one more year there. It just didn't feel right. We needed to grow. We needed to, I don't want to say class it up because that sounds a little bit rude, but we needed to make sure that the venue matched the brand, that matched the experience, that matched everything that we want PMRE to be. And so when we found that venue, it was just a no-brainer. And I had looked at, I won't go into it, but literally hundreds of venues personally in person that just always fell short. This new venue made sense to me right out of the gate. And so when we decided, I knew instantly what I wanted to do for a reveal. I just had to find the right team. And then when I talked to Devin and Windsor Creative and shared my plan for how we were going to reveal this new property at the end of 2023, we really wanted to end that event with a bang and get people excited for this coming year. And so I will say, and I'm not even exaggerating, to get the approval to do the video that we wanted to do, we had to go through 13 to 15 different people between lawyers and insurance and management and executives and all this nonsense. I can honestly say that getting our logo on that wall for 15 minutes in time for us to do a drone and video might have been more complicated than planning the entire event. So when I saw that video finally roll in front of the audience and give our loyal audience attendees that have been there for, whether it's 5 years the whole time or just new, to see the excitement in their eyes that, hey, we've been, for them to realize, and for me to see them realize that we have been stewarding their funds in a way that is coming back to benefit them was so incredibly rewarding. It's not just about us throwing this big event. It's about us growing this industry, growing this community. And when we could, I was backstage, so I couldn't see the screen. I just can kind of I'm not going to lie. I got a little emotional, so I was kind of by myself on the side.
Sure, of course.
But then thankfully Fraser actually took a video of the room, and I got to hear people's response and the obvious excitement. It was really, like I said, it was really rewarding and kind of validated all of the hard work and the stress and the frustration, the things that we do day to day to make this thing happen. So now that we're at the point where it's kind of coming full circle, where we're actually going to be able to invite the same people into our new venue that we've been working on and looking at for a couple of years, is beyond exciting.
And I don't want to hit on the showroom too much because I think that, like you said, it's going to be kind of reminiscent of South Point, but I think it sounds like kind of on steroids, right? I mean, this showroom is kind of like, can you just like really briefly kind of give us the lowdown on how the showroom is different?
It's very similar, one room, one stage. It's just a lot kind of newer, fancier. We're just from a production level. Honestly, it's lipstick. It's lighting and LED walls and screens, and it's just a classier room. But in terms of the overall experience, watching one stage, one presenter at one time, it's very similar. But it just allows us a little bit more creativity from a experience perspective in general.
Right. And so, and one of the things, and I always thought it was, I always thought it was a little weird. I'll be honest. We're friends. I feel like we're friends now, Brandon. I feel like I can be honest with you. I felt it was always a little weird to have all the vendors just at tables in the showroom. And like, it was like hard to get to them. And that was, I think, one of my bigger, I don't know, complaints is the right word, but it was awkward for me. Like I wanted to go talk to that person who was in the middle of the vendor, row of vendor tables, but I could never get there. There was always too many people crowded around. How is that going to change at
So to your point, year one, we did that based on necessity. We had one room, one stage. Vendors actually loved it. So then it became a thing where they're like, I actually like being shoulder to shoulder with our potential customers and our existing customers and all that. And then as the event grew, the last year or two, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, it's getting a little bit crowded in here. So we kind of figured we need to find a way to break this up a little bit. But South Point didn't offer us that logistically, it just didn't make sense. So one of the cool things about this new venue is, so we are going to have the showroom very similar to what we just talked about, similar to the way that South Point. But the nice thing is we have the luxury of a space literally next door. It's a 10 to 15 second walk. We're calling it the PMRE lounge / vendor alley. And so what we're going to be doing this year is we're going to set all of the vendors up in that room. The showroom is going to be general admission. Obviously, the vendors can come into the showroom and vice versa, but that showroom or that vendor alley is going to be open from 9 to 5 on all 3 days. So the goal is to give people, one of the things that we got feedback from over the last few years was, maybe there's a session that someone's not, if they're not into video or they're not into some particular topic, they wanted somewhere to go to maybe meet with somebody or catch up on some emails or make a few phone calls, and they were relegated to a lounge or a bar somewhere in the casino. At the Palms, we have this room right next door to the showroom that's exclusive to us. We're going to pump a live stream into that room, both video and audio. So it will act like kind of a satellite room to the main showroom. And then people have the ability to kind of jump back and forth as they see fit. So this will help sort of mitigate that bottleneck that we've been feeling or that you were just talking about when you're trying to talk to a sponsor. They're not going to be relegated to talking to people during like bathroom breaks and lunchtime. That room will be open 9 to 5 every day. The bar will be open in the afternoon. We'll still do that vendor happy hour in the afternoon. So we'll kind of shut the showroom down for an hour, send everybody over to the vendor alley. They get a chance to go around and meet everybody. And then, like I said, during the main part of the show, we're still going to pump in a live stream feed, video and audio, so that room is not disconnected. So to me, that kind of gives us a bit more space. It gives people a few more options. If you have to just scoot out and make a few phone calls or catch up on some emails, you don't have to go out to the casino. You can go into our own PMRE private space and kind of do that. So I think that's really going to kind of create a new space and a really cool atmosphere for just the event in general. One
of the fun things about PMRE is the parties. I think there's the sanctioned PMRE parties, and then there's the kind of unsanctioned parties or that happen as well. So I'm a fan of all the parties.
Absolutely.
So how is that going to be changed up this year?
So we're switching it up a touch. First of all, obviously the venue's completely different. So we're up in a really cool space at the very top of the Fantasy Tower. So it's basically a ballroom. But the thing that's really neat about it is it's an indoor and outdoor space. And so there's a balcony that overlooks the strip. So we're going to have it set up where, typical kind of bars open, lots of mixed seating, high tops, soft seating, patio with heaters, that kind of thing, music. The two sort of big changes, or the three big changes that we're making this year. Number one, we're going to start a lot earlier. So typically we end the conference at 5 o'clock on the first day. we haven't started the party until 7 or 7:30 most days, but we do have a lot of East Coast folks and out of country people who that kind of just kills because it's already 10 o'clock at that point. So we're going to start earlier. We're going to end the conference at 5. We're going to kind of say to people, hey, head up to your hotel, refresh. Doors are opening at 6. Bar will be open. We are going to feed everybody. So you do not have to go and find dinner in between the conference and the party day one. So we're going to feed everybody up at the party. We're going to have some tunes, but it's going to be a little dialed back, not as hardcore entertainment as we've had in the past, where we've had casual networking until 9 or 10, and then the band hits and it's like hardcore party time. And then we kind of divide the room. We're going to just make this party much more about networking. So you show up, cool music, food, drinks, good company, in and out, that kind of thing. And so, and then, there might be a very slight program with some giveaways and some discussions, but we're going to dial back the party and make it much more about a networking event.
But, I'm sure, but it'll still be fun.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's on the 51st floor of a crazy Las Vegas casino hotel, amazing views. Like I said, music. We're just trying to figure out how exactly we want to kind of handle the entertainment. But yeah, hell yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun.
And now it's a little different too, because there's Thursday night, because now before the Thursday night was always, okay, conference ends at 5 and it's over. But now Thursday night, there's another day of conference after it, the optional third day, of course. But so is there any official thing going on Thursday night?
No, we specifically left Thursday night open because everybody traditionally on Thursday night at the end of the conference, that's when they like to kind of go and do their own thing. So you've got all the new friends that you've made, the new contacts that you're connecting with, everybody kind of gets together, and a lot of times they go to the Strip or they go, the cool thing about Palms, there's lots of cool restaurants there. But we're leaving Thursday kind of just wide open for people to kind of just do their thing.
Right. I can already feel like there's going to be a few vendor sponsored happy hours and suites and stuff on Thursday night. That's going to be it. Is there any other thing that is kind of different in terms of the format of it? Because I want to talk about the whole hotel here in a sec, but does that kind of sum up all the stuff that's going to feel different?
Pretty much, yeah. The showroom is going to kind of roll the way that we have in the past years with presentations. We're going to have the vendor happy hours. We're going to have a couple discussion panels. We're going to have speakers. We'll jump back and forth between the showroom and the vendor alley / PMRE lounge. Other than that, from a format perspective, we're trying not to shake things up too much, new venue, new format, new plan. We don't want to get too complicated this year. So we're going to see how things happen.
Yeah. So you want to kind of see, you want it to feel familiar, but new, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. And so, and I think I was telling Devin this, but I was in Las Vegas a couple months ago and I poked my head into Palms for, I went in for 20 minutes or something and walked around. And the first thing to me when you walk in is like, it definitely, and I'm actually a South Point lover. But it was noticeably less smoky in there. So I think that's obviously been one of the big complaints. And look, let's be real. It's still Las Vegas. There's still people smoking inside. But it's way less smoky. It's
a whole different world. And one of the things, I won't even get into it. No, I will actually. What I learned.
Okay, let's get into it.
Because I mean, after 5 years of running an event at South Point, I finally just said to them, like, you guys out of your mind? Like, you're making so much money. Can't you fix the ventilation? And what I learned is that they have the #1 foot traffic in the entire city, and it doesn't matter what kind of ventilation you have. Now, mind you, this might be their spin, but
their spin. Yeah,
they have more foot traffic than anywhere in the entire city, and it's almost like it just can't be mitigated, which again, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of call bullshit. But the thing I love about Palms on multiple levels, and I know we're going to get into it in a second here, but South Point has 3,500 hotel rooms. We're an event of 300 plus people. We're a blip on the radar. What I love about Palms, over and above the fact that it's just, it's just a nicer property and it's got a lot of cool, it's been massively renovated in the last 2 years. They put almost $1 billion into it in the last couple of years. It's only 703 hotel rooms. So we're taking up over the half that hotel. Right. I mean, yeah, there's going to be people smoking, but it's not 3,500 rooms worth of people smoking. And it's one of those things you can't really avoid in Vegas. And again, I'm not going to get into it because I get a lot of everyone's like, why Vegas? Why Vegas? And I could write a book on why Vegas, but different topic for a different day. But that's part of what I love about why we've moved to Palms.
703 rooms total. And so we're going to be taking over half of the damn property. So it's like every other person you pass by in this hotel is going to be a PMRE attendee.
Pretty much, yeah. We've booked, we've literally booked over 1,000 hotel room nights. That's one thing that we should talk about, because
let's talk about it.
I cannot stress enough how important it is for people when they get their booking confirmation to click the link and book their room immediately. Because when we were down filming, this is like an anecdote, absolutely first person experience. When we were down shooting the video, one of the rooms that we booked for that time that we were down there was $450 US a night. We have that room under contract now for 120 plus, the typical fees and stuff. So all of our rooms are 150, 155 and less. But if you don't book them and they get taken up, or we pass the deadline, which I believe is October 11th, you're at the mercy of the market. And because F1's 2 weeks past us, I mean, it's just, there's no saying what those rooms can do. So I can't stress enough to people, if you book the conference, check your confirmation email, click the link, book your hotel rooms. Because like I said, we've gone out on a limb here and literally put a credit card down to book 1,000 hotel rooms to secure that rate in order to pass that saving along to the audience. We have zero control after that. So it's just get her done. Book those rooms. Last year we had a bunch of people complaining because they kind of procrastinated, couldn't get a room. Not only could they not get the rate, they couldn't even actually get a room at South Point because it was just too busy. So can't push that enough. Make sure you book your rooms ahead of time and book it through the PMRE link.
I'm going to do that, Brandon. Don't you worry. I'm going to be staying at Palms. I'm not staying anywhere else.
Oh yeah, you'd be crazy too.
And so again, we touched on this with Devin a little bit, but let's just go over it again because I think it's worth talking about. I love South Point. The food sucks there. I'm just going to say it.
I disagree with you.
I can say it. I can say it. Yeah. But anyway, the food's going to be a lot better at Palms. I feel like there's a huge variety of restaurants, and you can just look. It just feels fresher.
Yeah, fair. I mean, honestly, the smoke that'll do it to you. The smoke will do it to people.
Yeah. So, and I also noticed that right around Palms, because when I was there a couple months ago, there's all these, kind of Vegas strip malls right around there, and with like really cool, noodle places and more like independent restaurants that are not based in the casino that I'm excited to try. I'm always up for like a weird, an interesting Korean joint or something. So yeah, I'm excited to go and eat. And then what else do we need to talk about Palms, about the property?
Other than what we've talked about, just to your point there, I guess I would mention two things. Number one, we are much closer to the Strip, but do not walk to the Strip because it might look like it's close, but there's a massive freeway and you'll probably die if you try to walk across it. You're literally like a 10-minute or a $10 Uber ride, and
you're not going to die.
I mean,
Canadians,
so
and you're scared of it. Yeah.
Literally $10 Uber ride, and if you go to the rideshare area in Palms and just say, "Hey, take us to," the best way to go is just to say, "Hey, drop us off at Caesar's Palace." That's the number one route to the Strip. You're kind of right in the middle, and then you can wander from there. And then again, $10 Uber back. That's the best kind of way to get to the Strip.
Oh, I was going to say, but you don't even want to go to the Strip. I mean, I guess if you're there
that's a Thursday night
there
thing.
Longer, you're going to want to, yeah. You're just going to want to be at the Palms. You're going to want to be at Palms, and you're going to want to hang out with everyone.
And there's lots of like I've pretty much eaten at all the restaurants. The Mexican is phenomenal. There's like a dim sum place that's really amazing. There's also a food court if you just want to go and grab McDonald's or something like that. Yeah. There's also kind of what, if you remember, Silverado Lounge kind of became the go-to sort of unofficial PMRE lounge.
Of course.
There's a lounge right in the middle of the casino here that's got a big shark that's in formaldehyde, and it's kind of, we call it Shark Bar. That's not its official name, but I assume that's where everyone's going to kind of collect. But if you want to wander off property and find some food, to your point, Reed, earlier, there's some, basics like, like a Chick-fil-A 2 minutes away and other restaurants like that, bunch of strip malls with cool noodle restaurants and that kind of thing. But if you cross the road right in front of the Palms and you go over to the Gold Coast Hotel, there's a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant called Ping Pang Pong that is, from what all the reviews I've seen, was always highly reviewed as one of the best Chinese restaurants in Vegas, and it's open 24 hours. And I was down there a month or two ago, with my parents actually, and I took them and Fraser over, and it adds up, man. It was the best Chinese food that I've ever had in my entire life, and it's super affordable, and it's open 24/7. So there's a little pro tip.
Okay, you're speaking in my language here. I love it. I love it. So and for me, I know when I'm there, I'm going to take some action and I'm going to walk across the street and I'm going to get some of that damn Chinese food. And so that means it is time for our action items. And our action items today are sponsored by Pixel CRM. Unlock the full potential of your real estate media business with Pixel CRM, the all-in-one CRM and marketing platform built by a real estate photographer for real estate photographers. Pixel CRM is designed to help you attract and retain clients through marketing systems and automation. If you go to pixelcrm.com/upmarket, you can get a 30-day risk-free trial. Oh man, we're loving Pixel CRM. We're using it ourselves. Definitely advise you to get in there and check it out. And that's Pixel CRM, pixelcrm.com/upmarket. And I think Brandon may have already kind of spilled the beans on his during the social media sidebar. But I'm going to do one. And again, I'm liking to kind of pull in action items from the episodes because I think this one should just be, it's a good one to reiterate. But my action item is when you book your PMRE ticket, book your hotel room. I know we just talked about it. We just talked about it a few minutes ago, but we have to emphasize that you want to book your hotel room and you want to book it fast because they're cheap. I mean, you can't even stay in like a Hampton Inn somewhere on the highway for $150. So, I mean, this is like, it's a little more expensive than South Point was, but my God, it's still as cheap as you're going to find anywhere in Las Vegas.
100%. I was going to do 3 action items, but you took one of them. So.
Oh, I did. Okay. All right. Well,
my first one was set a reminder to book your early bird ticket next May 30th. At 6 p.m. Eastern. There's 75 available. Last year, they all sold out in 14 minutes. And there's a lot of hype around things this year, so I imagine that will be relatively the same. I was going to say book your room, but Reed covered that. And my next one, this is actually a serious one. This year has been, after planning this event and running this event for 5 years, we kind of had South Point down to a bit of a science. And so we kind of, we had contracts in place. We had relationships in place. We had handshake agreements where we trusted each other between us and the venue and all that kind of stuff. And it was really comfortable. Moving to a new property closer to the Strip with much more corporate intervention and higher stakes and all of this kind of stuff, it was extremely overwhelming to a point where I got warned, hey, Brandon, the minute you leave South Point and you start looking at other properties, you're going to be swimming with the sharks. And I kind of said, you know what? I agree, and I'm fine with it, whatever. We'll deal with it. But I've woken up with chest pains in the morning, stressing about it. And what I've really kind of learned, it's the most cliche thing in the world, but I think this is a quite a relevant action item in our industry, dealing with different clients at different times with different stress levels and different expectations. That cliche saying of like, whatever they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And what I've really learned in the past, because I'm not going to lie, man, full disclosure, I've woken up in mornings and been paralyzed. I've told my wife, I'm like, I don't even know if I can go and sit at my computer right now. I'm paralyzed. But then I would go and sit at my computer and I would just take one bite. I would fix something on the registration page, or I would add something to the website, or I would have a conversation with a speaker, or I would talk to a sponsor. And as soon as I would get one thing accomplished, I would get some momentum. And next thing you know, I got 2 things accomplished. And next thing you know, the day was over and I felt quite accomplished. And I'm the kind of guy that doesn't really operate that way typically, but it's something I've had to put into practice, and it's been incredibly beneficial to me. And I think that almost anybody in the creative world can relate to that paralysis that you have when your creative brain overwhelms your practical brain. So that would be my real, honestly serious action item, is just one step at a time.
You're swimming with the sharks. And so you swam with the shark, you killed the shark, you put it in a big thing of formaldehyde, and you stuck it in the bar at the Palm. So good job,
Chopped
buddy.
it into 3 too, by the way.
Yeah, way to go. You got that hacksaw out. You chopped that shark into 3 pieces and put it in the damn bar. Brandon, thank you. And I'm going to say this from everyone in our industry. Thank you for everything you do for this. And I know, it's a business for you, but it's also clearly a labor of love. And the thought and care that you put into this conference is unmatched, and it shows. And I know, everyone is so appreciative. And I think let's all show the appreciation to Brandon, by, selling this damn thing out and getting to Vegas and having the best conference ever. That's what I'm going to try to do. And so thank you, Brandon, for being here. Thanks for everything you do. And also, and I know you're going to join me in thanking our listeners, because without the people listening to this podcast, without the people who attend PMRE, all this would be nothing. And it's the community that matters. And so, our appreciation goes out to everyone out there.
Yeah. Thank you, Reed. And thank you to everybody else. Like you said, this is what we do it for. Thanks, guys.
Upmarket is a production of Upmarket Studios. This episode was produced by Chelsea Froelich and edited by Bethany Diedrich. Thank you so much for listening, and we really hope you listen to the next one too. In the meantime, our wish for you is to not have to shoot any Friday night Twilight shoots. Thank you for everything.